Hello, I'm Richard Allenson, and this is Clouds in My Coffee, the second part of the Carly Simon story.
Hi, I'm Carly Simon, here on BBC Radio 2.
Tonight, Carly Simon's most personal album to date.
Oh, and I'm so glad that you're talking about this album, because I really had this feeling that this album was just dead in the water.
Carly decides to sing the standards.
Gershwin has always been a hero of mine.
And she fights cancer and battles with the music industry.
I forced upon him a meeting, and he spent the whole time watching MTV and not even looking at me. He was that disinterested in my material.
By the 1980s, Carly Simon had achieved much that she'd set out to do. She'd released no less than 8 albums in just 9 years. She'd been rewarded with a Grammy Award, made the American Top 10, and enjoyed sales in the millions. On a personal level, she was married to the singer James Taylor and was now raising a family. It seemed there was little she couldn't turn her hands to. In 1983, concept artist Will Powers released the single Kissing with Confidence, which became a top 20 hit in the UK. But wasn't that Carly Simon on lead vocal?
Lynn Goldsmith was the creator of that record, and along with Jacob Brackman, my great friend, they created this character, Will Powers. And Will Powers was able to accomplish many of the things that other ordinary souls could not. And among the things that he could do was kissing with confidence.
Think of others these techniques will help. Do you know someone who drools when he kisses?
As Carly Simon entered the 1980s, her confidence would be severely tested. Her marriage ended in divorce, and her youngest child, Ben, was diagnosed with a dysplastic kidney, which would later have to be removed. And professionally, her recording career was in a major decline. Carly would later describe this period in her life as the most unhappy time. But despite the quagmire she faced, Carly Simon would make a dramatic return, this time in Hollywood.
I've always wanted to be the voice in a movie ever since I was a little girl. I thought, wow, it's louder, it's more important, people listen. It's a combination of two elements that I really loved. I really loved the thought of doing that. It was really a dream come true.
Hollywood would go on to provide an essential platform for Carly Simon's music and introduce her work to a new audience, even when her songs were cut from the film, such as the UK hit Why.
The song Why, I don't know why it was a hit. I just know that it was never in the movie Soup for One. It was only on the soundtrack. Why it was a hit in the UK, I just don't know why, except that they had more sense than in the United States.
Carly Simon's entree into the movies began as far back as 1968, when she was dating the film director Milos Forman. Her bit part in the movie Taking Off saw the end to her acting career, but she made a major impact on the big screen when she recorded the James Bond song Nobody Does It Better in 1977. But Carly's most significant cinematic creative collaboration was with the director Mike Nichols.
Mike Nichols asked me, because he and Nora Ephron had a discussion about who would be the best person to score Heartburn, which was her essentially autobiographical novel about her relationship with Carl Bernstein, and they had thought that I was a good choice for it. I remember Mike and I had lunch, and he asked me to do it, and I thought, my gosh, am I up to this job? And then I thought, yes, I think I'll just start with a song. I'll just start, just step by step. I'll do it slowly, and I thought, yes, I really could do this. And then it's been an ongoing working relationship for pretty much, on and off for a number of years.
From the film Heartburn, 1987's Coming Around Again, which augured well for Carly Simon's career. The same year, she signed to Arista Records and married her second husband, the poet Jim Hart, who'd later proved central to Carly's most successful cinematic song to date, Let the River Run.
Let the River Run is a song that I was asked to write for Working Girl, the Mike Nichols movie Working Girl. And I wrote it in this room, and I was thinking about Walt Whitman in New York City, and my husband Jim Hart helped me a lot with that, helped me focus in on what I wanted to say. I knew right away that I wanted it to be a hymn over a jungle beat, and that there was something about New York that's just invariably the jungle. It has the majesty of that lady in the harbor with her arm held up with the torch in it. It has the majesty of these people aspiring to be big and tall and better, and there's a lot of ambition. And so these girls, these secretaries who were coming over on the Staten Island ferry to work in Wall Street were there to try to partake of that same luster, of that same desire to be the greatest, the winners. And what I was trying to do was elicit that feeling of being driven toward power.
Surprisingly, the film studio threatened to use another song by the Eagles, but Carly Simon won through, and Let the River Run went on to win the Oscar for Best Song at the Academy Awards ceremony, an event that would see the re-emergence of Carly's panic attacks.
Phil Collins was sitting in back of me, and I felt it was probably going to be Phil Collins anyway, and so I said, I know that you're going to go up to the stage, and I said, if by any chance I win, will you go up and accept the award for me, because I just can't possibly go up to the stage. And when I was called up to the stage, I remember my husband kind of pushing me out of the seat, and then I don't remember anything following that. My Oscar lives with my shoes, and he's sort of in the bottom of my clothes closet underneath all of my dresses and where my shoes are placed. But he seems to like it among my patent leathers and my Oxfords.
Today, Carly Simon's name is synonymous with composing for film. But how does writing a new album compare with working on a film score?
If I'm writing an album for myself with my own ideas, even if it's around a theme, it has more autonomy because there's nobody else that I have to please. But generally in a movie, I can pretty well decide where I see a song. So I can place it myself, or I can at least suggest it, and it can be torn down or argued with. But I can have the idea. Two little sisters gazing at the sea, imagining what their futures will be. The older one says as her eyes look around, I will go as far as the corners of the town. I'll plant a little garden, flowers everywhere, and pluck the most fragrant for my hair. Ooh.
With her passion for music and her fascination with dramatic performance, perhaps the perfect home for Carly's talents would be Broadway.
I have considered it, and it's been brought up to me several times. My sister writes for Broadway, and she does it so beautifully that I've just thought of it as being kind of her sphere. From
the Meryl Streep movie Marvin's Room, Carly Simon's Two Little Sisters. In a departure from her own recording career, Carly Simon has created an ambitious musical drama, which premiered at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. in 1993. It was billed Romulus Hunt, a family opera.
Romulus is a boy somewhere between the ages of 11 and 13 whose parents have divorced, and his mother is a very conservative sort of uptown woman with a straight job and a straight hairdo, and his father is a very downtown choreographer with a great flair and a narcissistic streak. He, Romulus, tries to be one person in one home and another person in the other home to please the parent that he's with at the time. And it makes him split off enough to create an imaginary friend. And his imaginary friend is named Zoogie. And he makes up a scheme with Zoogie to try to get his parents back together again. I was commissioned to do it by a joint project between the Metropolitan Opera Guild and the Kennedy Center. And I needed all the help I could get, but it was so much fun just, putting on that other head, which I had to learn about the ranges of various instruments and where exactly how low a baritone could go, how high a soprano could go. And so to me it was a learning about opera experience. I got to learn, and it was a great privilege to be asked to do it. What I wanted to do in the opera was to give it a very strong, rhythmic, almost pop drum sensibility with an operatic voice.
Show me what to do. Tell me what to say. Show me how to move to make you look my way. Everybody wants to dance with my daddy.
Carly Simon's own interpretation of Voulez-vous danser from her opera Romulus Hunt. Over the last 20 years, Carly's been less prolific as a performer, but she has continued to release new material. The 1980s began with the album Come Upstairs, which acknowledged the musical new wave.
Quick, come here, I won't tell a soul, not even myself.
Jesse was originally my son, and I don't know why. I just wanted to write a song about my son at that point. And then it changed into being somebody that I didn't want to have feelings about. And then I realized that my slip was showing.
Jesse!
Her next release couldn't have been more different, and it was the first of a sequence of concept albums celebrating the great standards of popular music. The first of the collections, often referred to as the Torch Song Trilogy, was 1981's Torch.
I didn't know that it was the right thing to do. I didn't know that standards were the right thing to record. I just knew that I had a very special relationship with those songs because I'd grown up listening to them, and my mother and father played them, and I too was in love with Frank Sinatra. I too was in love with Ella Fitzgerald and Peggy Lee and Annie Ross and Ellington and Basie and a lot of jazz singers that I heard, and I simply loved to sing those songs.